Mixing drinking and driving can be deadly. Drinking while driving is not a humorous scene. Property loss can be astronomical when an intoxicated person is behind the wheel. And thousands of people lose their lives each year due to this careless and thoughtless act. Alcohol is an intoxicating agent. It is found in fermented and distilled beverages. It causes physical and mental control to be markedly diminished. Ray Hobson, retired director of safety for a national motor carrier and conductor of numerous reaction time tests, gives us some insight on the results he has compiled in his 50 years in the safety field.
We have made brake detonator tests on with people that drinking, and it will add all the way from 5 to 20 foot per bottle of beer that they drink. And after they get about 5 or 6 beers, why, the sky's the limit then of when they're going to stop. About the best place they're going to stop is when they clobber a wall or something of that nature. And you know, there's a lot of people that's the operator of the vehicle that gets killed in rear-end collisions. And you've always got to remember this, that anybody that runs into the back of somebody from lack of stopping distance, he's the first guy to that accident. And of course, talking to people that says that they can hold their alcohol or hold their beer, hold their whiskey, in other words, I've had people tell me they was a better driver when they had 2 or 3 beers, and they was a better driver when they had a couple of shots of liquor. And let them have their couple of shots of liquor and then put them in an outfit with a brake detonator on, and you can prove right now that they're not. I never was apprehensive about calling their bluff at all, and I never did lose when I'd call their bluff.
The consequences of driving under the influence could have a serious impact on you and your family, with the burden being carried by your loved ones, and unwanted publicity for you, because you may be dead wrong. According to John Weisenfels, attorney at law, the legal and personal consequences can be devastating.
The ramifications are twofold. There are, first, the ramifications as it affects your driver's license and the ability to continue to operate a motor vehicle on the state highways. And the second thing is the criminal implications of driving under the influence of either alcohol or drugs. If you either refuse to take a blood test or a breathalyzer test or any number of a series of tests, you can lose your driving privileges for up to a year. And essentially, the penalties criminally escalate as the violations escalate. For instance, the first offense is specified at a certain criminal penalty. The second offense is a greater penalty. And the third offense typically will result in you being classified as a habitual abuser of drugs or alcohol and result in the maximum sentence that can be imposed with no hope of parole or suspension of sentence.
For those who are concerned or who have reason to suspect they have a substance abuse problem, most communities offer programs for individuals with alcohol dependency problems. How do you find out where they are? Consult the yellow pages of your phone book under Alcoholism Information and Treatment. Several private centers and hospital programs may be available, as well as Alcoholics Anonymous. In most metropolitan cities, the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse is available to provide guidance and help with that first big step. All inquiries are kept personal and confidential, according to Daniel Waits, director of Lakeside Treatment Center in Kansas City, Missouri.
All inquiries are confidential. When people come in here for treatment, we treat their being here as very confidential. Not only their inquiries, but them being here, and by law we have to.
Many treatment agency and professional people who help those with alcohol problems receive calls daily from concerned individuals who are aware of a friend or loved one with a dependency problem. The question asked most often is, what can I do? These experienced professionals suggest that most times the solution is not going to be easy.
First thing to do is that you have to know that there are a lot of avenues of help available, both free and fee-for-service. In many cases, the loved ones will not even challenge or acknowledge that, dad's got a problem or the wife's got a problem, because to do so is threatening to the relationship, threatening to themselves in one way or another. You'll hear a lot about tough love. I'm sure your viewers have heard a lot about tough love. If you continually allow that person to maintain their addiction, to maintain their use, the question is, are you loving them to death?
Be responsible for your actions. And remember, if you drink and drive, you could be dead wrong. Drug addiction and 18-wheelers generally present a threefold problem. Drug abusers are usually dependent on alcohol, too. So the ingredients for a ticking time bomb become drugs, alcohol, and the big rig, according to Dr. Pierre W. Keiches, Director of Pathology for a major hospital.
No question there's a much higher incidence of alcohol abuse in drug users, especially the poly drug users. It almost seems to look sometimes like the alcohol's a link to get in between fixes and high.
My brain will not discriminate between my having an ounce and a half of good scotch and probably a Valium. My brain is going to say, that feels good. It's not going to say, oh, that feels good because that's scotch, or that feels good because that's a Valium. Fact is, it affects the brain, the neurochemistry of the body.
Drugs, ideally, are substances intended for use in the diagnosis, treatment, or cure of diseases, and are intended only for the individual for whom the doctor prescribes them. Drug abusers are people who take drugs for the narcotic or mind or mood-altering effects that drugs can produce. The legal consequences of drug involvement can be costly and damaging to your self-respect, your future, your life.
It gets to be a very, very expensive proposition if you've ever had your driving privileges revoked, both from the standpoint of employing legal counsel as well as having to face higher insurance costs, not only for the year of the event, but for a long time in the future. All of us have obligations to meet financially, and if you can't meet those because you don't have income coming in, you jeopardize everything you work for. You jeopardize being able to keep your home. You jeopardize being able probably to keep your cars if you have any kind of car payments. And it leads to some useless stress and strain on your family situation.
And aside from that, the criminal penalties that apply with drug possession, either misdemeanor, a period of up to 1 year's incarceration, or a period of 2 to 5 years, depending on if it's a felony or misdemeanor.
What constitutes probable cause in suspecting substance abuse in drivers?
Generally, it's some type of erratic driving that's caused them to bring themselves to my attention. The car might be weaving within the lane or across the center stripe. The individual might be driving with their bright headlights on their high beams, affecting other drivers, or they might be driving at an excessive fast rate or excessively slow rate on the highway.
Two of the most common street drugs are marijuana and cocaine. Marijuana, commonly referred to as pot, weed, or grass, is usually smoked in cigarette form. Cocaine, or coke, is a refined white powder derived from coca leaves. A powerfully seductive narcotic, it is usually snorted through the nose or dissolved and injected. Cocaine is also sometimes smoked or freebased. Another form of cocaine, which has more recently become widely abused, is crack or rock, a crystalline form, hence its name. It is smoked somewhat as is the condensed marijuana resin hashish. Crack is the deadliest, quickest addicting, most overpowering form of cocaine. Many substance abusers are not aware of the effects the drugs have on their system. Dr. Keiches comments.
The immediate, pretty much universal effect is they affect the brain. This ad that shows the brain frying like an egg is well taken. Most, if not all, of these drugs interfere with the receptor sites on nerve cells in the brain that take information or receive a stimulus to pass on information from certain chemicals that are in the brain. They're either interfered with or stimulated or negated, or the receptor site is occupied or something. The bottom line is it follows up transmission of appropriate impulses from brain cells. And so you immediately can see inordinate excitement or inordinate depression or inordinate feeling of well-being, derangement in judgment, impairment of decision-making, etc.
But street drugs aren't the only drugs that cause trouble. Many addicting or mood-altering prescription drugs fall into the substance abuse category.
Anyone that doesn't know prescribing steroids is becoming a serious problem just has to pick up the sports page every day. And that's one that's ominous because it still is in the definite, which it is, properly so, category of a medication. It's a good medicine, helps a lot of people, but it has profound effects on the body. Others are the amphetamines you can get as prescription drugs, diet pills, even aspirin is not without its effect. I'm not saying that aspirin is bad. Any drug, when it's indicated and given in the right dose for the right reason for the right period of time, can be good.
You owe it to yourself to ask your doctor questions about the prescription you are receiving. What are its effects? Can it be addicting? If you are not satisfied with the answer, you should feel comfortable seeking a second opinion.
No, not out of line. I think you have an obligation to yourself, and physicians get very busy, and they're trying to do the best job they can, but sometimes you have to get them to take the time to explain to you. So I think it's a very appropriate question. I think you'll find fewer and fewer physicians getting irritated by those kinds of questions. My advice to a lot of people is if your doctor gets upset because you ask those questions, maybe you should think a little about who's your physician.
The alternatives to drugs include getting plenty of rest and eating properly. Avoid a steady diet of fatty foods. And exercise regularly. Drugs add to stress. They stress your body. Following good health guidelines helps to eliminate stress in your personal life and on the job. Experience is the best teacher. Bob Cope, truck driver and rehabilitating alcoholic and drug addict, relates his version of what drugs can do to your life. His version of Dante's Inferno.
I alienated friends, family, just virtually everything. Because when I went to prison, when I was, 24, 25 years old. Now I'm 31 years old. And I'm looking back at all these wasted years, and what do I have to show for it? Not a whole lot. It's scary looking back at how I used to be. I don't even know how people tolerated me. I would go on maybe week-long crank runs, speed runs, until I'd start seeing things. And when the DEA catches up with you and takes your house and your car and your land and everything else you've ever owned in your life and just takes it from you, sends you to prison, you end up right back from ground zero. And it's not fun, starting over all over again with nothing. I mean nothing.
Being chemically free now for 4 years, how do you handle drowsiness and stress while on the road?
Well, for me, the only thing that works is talking to somebody. If I've had a bad day and just one of those days where everything and anything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong, and the only thing I can do is find a good friend or a spouse or somebody that'll sit down and listen to me. And if you're out on the road and you're feeling stressed out or wrung out, tired, probably the best thing that you could probably do is pull over to a truck stop or any place where there's people. Get out and walk around and have a cup of coffee and talk to somebody. And you'd be surprised.
If you have a problem with substance abuse, or even suspect you do, consult your doctor, who can guide you to a local rehabilitation program. Many companies, unions, and other organizations now offer drug rehabilitation programs for employees or members. On the other hand, you may have a friend or loved one with a drug abuse problem, and you want to know what you can do to encourage that person to seek help as early as possible.
Get professional help. Get professional help. Get professional help. This is not something you and a bunch of friends should deal with, because it isn't just that this individual is abusing alcohol and drugs. He has other serious problems, either mental or physical or hereditary or family, that are precipitating this. And you are not, as a layperson, equipped to handle it.
You can pick up the telephone book and call your crisis line in any city. Wherever you are, you can call the crisis line, and they'll put you in touch with Al-Anon, Alcoholics Anonymous, Alateen. There's an 800 cocaine line if it's a cocaine problem. There's Narcotics Anonymous. There's just so many resources available. There's so many professionals who will help you if your loved one is in denial, has a problem with saying, hey, I really do have a problem. Most addicts and alcoholics will not readily acknowledge that they do in fact have a problem.
What one word would you use to discourage someone from taking drugs?
And it's just simple. First, don't.
Yeah, just don't. Yeah. Life's too short.
I just like to end with one word. Don't.
Continued chemical dependency ensures failure. Never carry failure forward. It should rest in the past, where it belongs. Be a winner. Be aware of and avoid the dangers of alcohol and drug abuse.